Okay, hi everybody, Christiana Witt here, and this episode is brought to you by us at Soul Soothing Company, where we supply women founders with gorgeous web presence, an all-in-one web system, and AI-enhanced systems that restore, hopefully, your spaciousness, flow, and creative freedom. If you are tired of being a woman entrepreneur who has built a business that works, but it feels like the business is running you, then you can visit us at soulsoothingco.com, book a quick chat, or email us at hello@soulsoothingco.com. Now I'm really excited. Today I am welcoming Siobhan Mears, a leadership coach who supports ambitious founders in outgrowing old patterns and creating success that is sustainable, spacious, with a nice alignment, and true, and releasing what has been holding them back so their work and lives feel deeply aligned. Siobhan, I'm excited to dive into something that prior to this recording we kind of talked about, and that
Mm.
is, like you pointed out so clearly, women. So we focus on with women entrepreneurs because our templates, our websites are also really feminine and
Yeah.
really like aesthetically pleasing. So when we meet these women and they come to us and say, my site is outdated, my messaging is outdated, my system is outdated, I need a team, all of this, they are in a growth phase, right?
Mm.
And that all sounds so easy. It's like moving into a bigger house, so to say. But you pointed out that there's more underneath, the iceberg underneath the surface, right? We can put the systems in place, we can help you with AI. But what happens to the person that is growing? So
Mm.
that's kind of our initial topic for today, and then we'll see where that takes us. So for any woman listening, she might just say, I'm just going to play devil's advocate and then I give it to you. No, I just need systems. It's a mess. I understand, it's all been in my head and now I need to organize it and give it to somebody else.
Mm.
What would you say?
Great question. Well, thanks so much for having me, Christiane. And this is something that I hear and heard all the time. The focus of my work primarily prior to stepping into helping women and men as well through their evolution, through their next level, was around the strategic elements. So very much that, as you would call it, maybe the masculine energy, the strategic, the organization, and all of that. So I really resonate with the importance of that. So first of all, we need to get organized. We need those things in place, the foundations, the fundamental structures in order to grow. That's undoubted. However, there's so much more that comes with growth. Often I find that women particularly, are sorting things externally outside of them. And there can be resistance that comes up around growth. So expanding into, or investing rather, in this next level. This requires investment of systems, maybe a rebrand, maybe the website, all of the things that you've talked about. But it also requires identity work,
Mm-hmm.
because we can set up the shop front, we can prepare it all, ready for people to come forward. But if we don't feel internally prepared to hold that next level of growth, we will sabotage that subconsciously. I've seen it time and time again with clients that I've worked with, and people in my industry, in the peers that are in the online space, is that people often say they want growth, but there's resistance there in being able to hold it. And that can be very true for women if they have other responsibilities, which could be children, aging parents, and so on. There can be a fear around, what is this going to cost me?
Mm. So let's talk about this because I certainly relate. I've been, I'm towards the end of my career, and so I have gone through this many times. And what I noticed within myself, for example, is a pattern. It took me a long time, like it had to painfully occur often enough for me to notice as a pattern that I would grow really fast inside. Like my vision would expand and oh my God, this is possible. And I would bank on my potential, so to say, and then collapse.
Mm, really
Like,
interesting.
like go out and be really extroverted and big and hire a team. And I love leadership and love all of this. And then there's the little me that says, but I really just want to sit in the corner there and do my project.
Yeah, that's what you see is the resistance, and it's when the old identity hasn't quite caught up. Because
Okay.
as we know, when we work in mindset, our ego mind doesn't care about our goals. It does not care about our success, what you want. That expansion actually sounds quite terrifying, and they want to be safe, right? So there's a part of you that wants to be safe, wants to just curl up and just passively wait for that growth. But then there's that's where we have that friction of growth, that contradiction, and the two can exist at the same time, which can feel quite polarizing because, and I've been through it myself. While on the face of it, like you're sharing, we're ambitious, we're driven, we have this big vision, and so many of the clients that I work with have a huge vision, and there's no reason why they can't realize that. But as we find often, it's ourselves that actually get in the way. So we can arrange and organize everything else outside of us, like the systems and so on, which will support. But if we're not able to hold that capacity for growth and do it in a way, a term that's used a lot, but it's so true, in a way that's aligned. And what I mean by that is that it has to feel good to you. Because
Mm.
if like you say, if we're pushing ahead and we're really hugely visible and we're out there doing all the things that we should be doing, quote unquote, then that's not going to resonate if that's not our true character. So we have to look at ways that we're looking to grow the business and expand ourselves that do feel aligned with our true character. I'm working with clients at the moment around finding their own, what I call like the magnetic edge. So that their own identity, something that is uniquely theirs, outside of what everybody else says you should be doing. You know, if you're going to be a real boss woman, you need to show up this way, you need to be on these stages doing all those things. Yes, you can, and that's one way to do it. But we have to find a way that's aligned because you will keep repelling, avoiding, procrastinating, and ultimately self sabotaging that success.
So, yeah, I totally like, I heard you and I was, can't help but reflect, in those
Yeah.
back to those moments. If somebody had told me much earlier on that really growth as a businesswoman or as a visionary entrepreneur is to become more myself, not less,
Mm, exactly
that would
that.
have really helped because it was the heydays of, I've been doing this. God, I've been a therapist since, I don't know, 19 something, but online since 2004. So that's a long time.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a bro
That's it.
marketing, there were about like nine guys out of some garages that ended up telling us how to build an online business. And I would fall into these traps of thinking, I need to do it like them. Or, that was the only model,
Mm.
right? I need to do it like them. And I would think like as I'm going through, I remember thinking I went through their courses and learned their marketing, like I was walking through mud. It was just so dreadful. Like they weren't speaking to me at all. It would be like football talk. Not that I like actually have fun with American football, but it's not my language. I'm not walking
Mm.
around with the F word all over the place,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And 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 then it got more subtle, and there would be women that would grow big in the online field, but they would also kind of use masculine strategies because
Mm.
that works, right? And again, I felt like I had to change who I was. And when I
Mm.
really look back now, I can now see patterns where I was most successful because that was really aligned with who I was and who I wanted to be and the activities that made me feel good about myself. And they were rejuvenating. And I am a true introvert, so anything that extended beyond what my introverted self could handle would collapse again, right?
Mm.
So,
That's really interesting. Yeah.
so I hear you about, the potential, and we do like one thing I have no doubt, I think I'm very intelligent. I can put concepts together really well. I'm really good at branding, and so there's a lot of good stuff. But I feel like I felt a little too much, or I fell a little too much into the trap of this potential. So let's just play with this a little bit. Does everybody, is this a right goal for everybody to reach their potential?
That's interesting, actually. First of all, what you've shared, going to your first point around the bro marketing, I would call it as well like a hustle culture. And I think many of us entrepreneurs, not all, and this is where inner work really does become crucial. It's something that I realise myself. You can have the strategy, this is the way you do it. Many of us have fallen for an Instagram coach that's telling you how to make X figures, follow this templated
Yes,
rule, and
yes,
this will
yes.
work for
Oh, yeah.
you. It will
Right,
work for all of us. Apparently, we're all the same and it will work for all of us. If we do that, we'll get to the thing.
right,
And so
right.
many people haven't. And it's so disillusioning. And therefore, they internalize that and think there's something wrong with them.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
I
that's why
so
I
totally
disagree.
remember that, thinking
Yeah.
I am a failure. I can't do this. Why can they and I cannot?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So
so
that really
continue.
brings us back to the alignment piece is so important. I'm a
Mm.
firm believer in not one cookie cutter approach for anyone. That's how I work with my clients. Everything's very bespoke because we have our own, when I say that, unique, that magnetic edge that makes us, it's our story. Where do we come from? What's our background? What's our likes? What's our personality like? What's our energy like to work with? All of that makes us really unique flavour. And it's something that if we step into, we will naturally attract the right clients and just owning it. But touching, so hustle culture, I found that a lot of people that I've worked with, myself included, initially setting up a business, myself coming from a corporate world, and quite a few of my clients have as well, is it was all about working hard. And it's not
Mhm.
to say when you start a
Mhm.
business you've got to work hard, yeah, because it's not all green juices and barley when you first set up. You do need to put the groundwork in, totally. But I'm all about sustainable growth. And if we're following the bro marketing, this is the way, this is the template, keep going, hustle and grind. Often that comes from a survival energy. And I find a lot of entrepreneurs may have gone through some form of trauma in the past, and it's quite a
Mhm.
survival
Mhm.
energy, right?
Mhm.
Got to go, 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 go. But when we're talking about the clients that we've touched on at the beginning of this conversation are in growth phase. So they're
Mhm.
going through to what I call that evolution, that next level. And
Mhm.
that requires a next level identity, and they cannot bring that old hustle any further. It's either resulting in burnout or wanting to burn the whole
Yes,
business down.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I've seen time and time again, been there myself. So it comes a point, that friction point, where they have to let go. And let go, I'm a firm believer myself that there's many of us that can be ambitious and driven, but do it in a more aligned way, which seems counterintuitive. And it did feel that way to me when I first started out.
Mhm.
It felt
Mhm.
like, well, if I create space, if I set boundaries, then what if, surely it's all going to crumble down. So it's finding that inner strength and that inner safety rather than constantly fixing outside of us like a deck of cards. It's doing that inner work so you can be expansive enough for that next level growth because you are stayed. You're strong within yourself. And when we talk about potential, for me, myself included, and all of my clients are ambitious. They are driven, they're ambitious, that's why they're in business. It's not just for the freedom, it's the capacity and the word potential. And when
Mhm.
we talk about stepping into your potential and having that ahead of us, for me, I think it's quite exciting. That's how I reframe it. I don't see it as, and I think there's something interesting that I've really come to know when doing the identity work is that it doesn't need to be outside of us. This other version, this next level version of us, this higher self, this next level identity, can seem like, oh, it's somebody else, it's out there, when actually she already
Mhm.
exists within you. So it's a case of connecting to that. And we can only do that when we let go of that coat of shoulds and copying everyone else. And,
Right.
and I say
Right.
that without shame. It's sometimes how we learn is by looking online and seeing what they're doing. But if we're not really doing the inner dialogue, we're not understanding our uniqueness truly, and we're not able to let go because we're constantly searching outside of us.
So, okay. So lovely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what I was hearing then, when we might be able to take apart this whole notion of exploring my potential, so to
Hmm.
say, there's a potential that's pre-written for me by somebody else outside of me. I see, I don't know, some amazing female online entrepreneur, and I'm thinking, I have the potential to be her,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Or is it like more an excavation of the true self that is no longer driven by survival and then land where that lands?
Yes, that's it. It's for me, it's the unbecoming to
Right.
become who you were meant to be.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
So that's how I see it. I see it as doing the inner work to shed all those layers of somewhat like peeling back an onion,
Mm-hmm.
all of the baggage that we might have collected from our parents, from
Mm-hmm.
society,
Mm-hmm.
from the expectations, the shoulds, what they're doing, she's doing, all of that is a heavy, heavy load.
Mm-hmm.
And when we step back, and it's stepping into your purpose as well. That's part of it as well, stepping into the purpose of what you're actually here to do. If you could be unapologetic and go for it, what would you do? And
That
that's
is
what's
the true
exciting.
potential. Yeah.
That's true. For me, that's
That
true
is the true
potential.
potential. And that could be
Mm.
a small, tiny micro business.
Yeah,
It could be a gigantic,
yeah,
passion-driven, society-changing organization. But at that point, because we don't have the shoulds anymore, it doesn't matter. We're not saying, well, I'm settling for this micro
yeah.
business. That is where I was supposed to land, or this is where I was supposed to land, or
That's
this
it.
is where I was supposed to land.
Yeah, it's creating. That's why I'm a firm believer of um, it being success on our terms. So when you're blinkered and you're focused on doing the inner work on and focus on where you're going, you're crystal clear, and that's what I work with clients on plans to be crystal clear of where you're going, what that next step evolution looks like. That's magical because it is for you. You're not using societal or social media barometers of success. It's what feels good to you. I always say to
What a
clients,
revolutionary thing to do in today's
yeah,
society, right?
yeah, but
So
how
when we,
liberating.
oh God, yeah. I mean, that is the final frontier, so to say, right?
Mm,
Liberty is right behind that or through that. So
yeah.
when we're then talking about websites and web systems and teams and all the things that we provide, the fun part of that is that the client would then come with a true vision of
Mm,
what, at least currently,
yeah.
they see what this wants to be. So there's no, if they love leadership, then it might be 10 people, it might be two people, it might be one person. So they model their expansion based on from the inside basis,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. They've created that inner container or expanded that capacity for whatever fits them. So if they decide, you know what, I want to really go for this, I want to expand, I want multiple team members. Say if they come to you with this approach, they're
Hmm.
crystal clear, having worked with me on what they want, what
Right,
the
right.
expansion looks like. And then you can help them to build that out, which I think is so beautiful. But it's that clarity piece first. If we are building what everybody else is doing, often that means re-overhauling a year later, changing everything again. And obviously we do evolve, and it's not one
Hmm.
fixed state
Hmm.
forever, and that's the nature of beauty and beauty of growth. But I think it's so important to really be true on what expansion you want, and I think it helps you build up that whole client ecosystem of exactly, I was on a call with a client today, and we were mapping out exactly what her offers are, what makes sense, the journey they go through, how they come into her world, how they progress, and so on. And she just had full clarity, so she can then go ahead with that and go and get her systems built, work on any
Right.
downloads, anything, build out a group program, knowing exactly where she's going and how many people she wants to get to reach her financial goal, but also her energy goal, her
Yes.
capacity.
Oh, and oh, God. Okay, I'll write this down because I want to talk
Yeah.
more about this energy goal. But something I also heard is when that happens, because, to be vulnerable over 22 years of doing this, yeah, there were a few times where I went too big, didn't listen to me, and then, shrunk it back down a year later. That's not a pretty expensive endeavor.
Yeah.
So really getting clear first, putting the brakes on, really going deep with somebody like you,
Mm.
finding the courage to do it your way, because it's pretty
Yeah.
courageous,
It
right?
is, it is. But I
Is
think a lot of them feel resistance if they don't. So, for example, like you mentioned, it's growing really big and then wanting to shrink it back down, or things just feel heavy. Old strategies aren't working. They're getting that real heavy resistance, and they're kind of resenting the business for one
hmm
reason or
hmm
another.
hmm
You probably see people coming to you like that,
Yeah.
and that is no foundation for growth. That's no foundation for growth, and also it's really painful to sit there. So having
hmm
the courage to do something different to get a different result is so worthwhile than sitting in that discomfort.
So you're exchanging that discomfort because you kind of internally already know it's not really matching
Mm-hmm.
you. You're trying to change yourself to match the vision. But there's another discomfort, and that is this uncertainty that you're going to sit in for a while before you start to have more clarity about what
Yeah.
feels right to you, or even this permission giving as a woman,
Mm.
right? To like, I feel that, but that can't be right,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I really want a quiet morning. When I start with the quiet morning and then do
Yeah.
my quiet work, da 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 da, until then, and I do that. Oh, but I could. Nobody
No.
does that,
No, that's why we have to do nervous system work as well to
right?
really, because it's bracing, and have to be on, hustle, grind. If I don't, it's all going to fall apart. So it's almost like holding tight, rigid, and often when that's why when somebody's looking at this growth ahead of them, they think, oh, I just don't think I can handle that. I want it on a logical level, but I just don't know if I can hold tight any further. But being curious, it's definitely a permission slip. And you know, when I'm holding clients in that space, and it's often can feel like a void. I've been there before. It's like the unknown. You're
Mm-hmm.
looking up, got
Mm-hmm.
to top of a cliff, and you're like, oh, do I free fall here? But when you're being held in that, and you know, shining a light on what's possible, holding your hand through that change, positively challenged. On the other side, there's the joy that comes back in the business, the joy, and from that we know when we're in that state. For anyone who's interested in
Then we're in
spirituality,
flow.
flow
Yeah,
state. That's it. That's it.
right.
It's flow state. So naturally, aligned opportunities start coming, doors start opening, things start. It's no coincidence. It's because we're not bracing for change. We're actually embracing it.
So my poor podcast listeners, they know me. So both myself and both my partners are lifelong horse people. And so we can't help, but when we hear something, we just immediately take it into the arena, when something like happened with our horses, especially when we talk nervous system, because that limbic system we share is identical to the horse, right? And
Interesting.
so often the horse is this great, like right there in your face. So this morning I was working with my horse, what we call in hand. So I wasn't sitting on him, I was doing it from the ground. And I work a lot on co-regulation. So make sure that if he's a little too sleepy, I get myself up. And if he's a little bit, oh, what's going on? I come down like a good coach would do with the client, right? Like you said,
Yeah.
sinking into this. And so this morning, I noticed there was just a lot of stuff going on. So he was a little uppity up. And then all of a sudden, I heard this sigh, like a release,
Oh,
right? And that's what I hear the client does for you. It's like
yeah.
this permission giving gesture to say it's okay to just
Let
be
go.
me, right?
Yeah, oh, that's very beautiful.
And he would just go, yes. And then I imitate it, and then I usually get a second one. But it didn't last very long at
Mm,
first. And he was also calling out to his friends. So again, like his attention was out there. I wasn't the best co-regulator in the moment, or, he didn't see me as such. But as time went on, and we did a lot of somatic work, he
Beautiful.
relaxed more and more size. And then finally he went to the, he
Oh,
released
lovely.
everything, right? And then there was no more calling to the outside. It was just him and me regulating each other. It's
Oh,
beautiful.
wow. That is
Highly
so
recommended it.
beautiful.
It is.
I've never heard of that. That's
And
amazing.
so eventually and it was very tiring to dance with the horse because it's deep sand. You got to jump. He's got to jump. And like, too old for this.
Wow.
But we were really dancing together.
Beautiful.
So my point in this is when we first start giving ourselves permission
Hmm.
and relax, what came up for me was that not might not last very long,
Interesting.
right?
That's yeah, that's something that's really interesting. It's because our nervous system, our mind, is protective and will want to pull back. It will want to pull back to safety. Now, hang on a minute, you're letting go here. So that's where the beauty of long lasting relationships when I'm working with clients. It's that
Mm,
depth that you can go in. It's being held in more than just one session. It's like with your horse. It won't be
right,
just one and done. Next time you'll do something else, you'll
right,
try something else, you'll enrich it. And it's building a relationship that can
right.
support long term.
Yeah, and we've been together now for 2 years, and I do on purpose work from the ground because it's easier to co-regulate eye to eye
Oh.
than when you sit on top. And so I was thinking like, what's really my goal after 50 some years of sitting in the saddle? I want to become that go-to person for him. Like, I want to get
Mm.
the favorite human status,
How rewarding.
right? But that is what a good coach can do
Yeah.
over long term is you lose it again. You're like, okay, I thought this is what I want to do, and I'm not going to go and look at the next LinkedIn something how to or the next Facebook ad, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then bang, you're looking again.
Yeah, the habits, habits, isn't it? And that's why, I mean, before I came on here, I had two voice notes come through from my one-to-one clients, and the support is outside of our sessions as well, so
Mhm.
that they are, effectively like co-regulating with me. We are supporting, we're challenging outside of that, habit. Maybe to shrink themselves and go back to old pricing or play small or not step forward or to just share the wins. And it's really beautiful relationship and a really privileged one. Like you said with your horse, it's a privilege to share this and to watch someone release but also
Ah,
expand. It's just a gift to me as well. I
me
feel
too,
honoured.
human and horse. To
Yeah.
see the person or the animal go into parasympathetic state of
Mm.
rest and digest and to regenerate
Yeah.
after so much stress and so much hypervigilance. It's a
Mm.
beautiful thing to feel like I'm held safely. I
Yeah.
can relax, right?
Yeah.
And then form, like you said, there's also a habit piece because we tend to orient ourselves from to the outside.
Mm-hmm.
What is the latest LinkedIn guru doing?
Mm.
And oh, if I did that, I would make some more money. I mean, these
Mm.
processes that we're thinking right there, they're well oiled and they go
Yeah.
fast. And pretty soon we're back out of self
Mm.
into wanting to imitate so and so or find a shortcut to safety or
Mm.
whatever the motivation
Mm.
is. So spaciousness, which is something we both, right? Both our companies
Yeah.
want to supply to the client, is also an internal work.
There
We
is
can't
internal
give
work
it to
for
the
sure.
client, right?
Definitely, definitely. And what that looks like is it depends on the client. Again, I'm not a believer of cookie cutter approach, but I bring in modalities then, such as NLP, where we can look at the habits and so on, and really set the client up for success outside of the sessions, but also releasing some of those old stories that keep them in
Mm,
a loop. which could be through modalities such as hypnotherapy or timeline therapy. There's a real variety of
Hmm.
tools that we can use to really break some of those well-worn paths.
I have those. I know
Yeah,
I do.
we've
We
all,
all
and
do.
this is from lived experience as well. So everything I'm bringing to my clients comes from my own experience too.
Yeah, like there's another like a horse analogy that really works for me. Like on a trail ride, there's like that beautiful cut through the forest, gone a million times, tractor flattened, and then there's the wild path through the trees, right?
Yeah,
And our nervous system, of course, wants to go that path. It's the
yeah,
path of least resistance, done
that's it.
it millions of times. It's well cleaned up. But when we develop these new habits, we really have to forge a path through the forest.
That's it. That's scary
Hmm.
because it's unknown, but it's on the other side. It's almost like coming to an oasis through that path, you know. So it's something that's why I found, and even myself investing in mentors, coaches, or
Hmm. Hmm.
support, whatever that looks like, most suitable for the person, because that's where the potential piece comes in. Are they happy staying where they are? They have to be fully happy to stay where they are, and whether that's in pain or resistance, or to walk through the overgrown bushes to get to that oasis, and that oasis is different for everyone.
So since we share the word, spaciousness and flow and alignment,
Mm,
so that's the promised land. That's the oasis. If you
mm,
do the hard work of
yeah.
marching, because it's also more work, right? It's not as automatic as going down that well-trampled
Mm,
path. So we have to cognitively really condition, like discipline, so to say, ourselves to not go that
mm,
way, but go that way
yeah.
until that one feels better. And then we get to this place that's promises us more spaciousness, more alignment, more
Yeah.
flow. Tell me a success story of one of your clients that got to this
Yeah.
oasis.
I love that. And actually, something that came up as we were talking about discipline there, a client that I was working with, we actually worked on reframing that to devotion. So
Ah,
it's the
love it.
devotion,
Love
yeah?
it.
So devoted to that version of us that exists, yeah? To devoted to the future that we
Love
want.
it. Love it.
So it's that commitment to
Nice
it.
reframing. I'll keep that
Yeah, I
one in
loved
mind
it.
too.
And also, it's about, you know, habit stacking as well, taking those steps, taking those gradual steps. And client wins have been a client of mine this year has doubled her turnover. So I'm not one for promoting on, I'm going to get you to these figures, the bro marketing that we talked about, because that's not what I lead with. But that's somebody who, and that was not a focus, that was not the core focus. But that was from doing the inner work. She has been invited, so not implying she's been invited to do a TED talk. Opportunities are coming to her more and more and more. And that's just from really stepping into her quote unquote next level, because she had been lowballing herself for a while. She has an immense amount of success, but wasn't stepping into it. And
Hmm.
really, we
Say
played a
more. What
rag.
does that mean when somebody doesn't step into? So, A, what's the success? And what
Yeah.
does it mean that she didn't step into that?
Okay, so success. She is booked with a pipeline through into 2026, going into Q2, so into April next year. She works with some of the top corporates in the UK, law firms. She's had extensive career, working with really reputable brands, in demand across all the board. So you would say tick, 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 ticking all the boxes. Business is busy. She's got the visibility, she's got the authority, the reputation, but she was not owning her worth. Yeah, she had been still playing at the same stage, i.e., in her pricing, i.e., stepping into new opportunities, new territories. Yeah, she had reached that level some time ago in terms of her reputation.
Ah, and then there's
Yeah,
like this comfort
the
zone.
discomfort. It was like, and she wasn't really embodying it in herself.
Got it.
Knowing her self worth. Hang on a minute, I am. I've worked for this number of years. I've got this accolade. She was extremely humble about it, but she wasn't owning her authority. She wasn't fully stepping into
Got
to
it.
the level that she had already achieved because her mind wasn't there. Yeah, so we've really got to embody what she's achieved, take it on board, work on some of the resistance that she'd had to step into the success for her now. Is it had been a dream for her to do a TED talk, and for her to be directly approached for that, that's something that was a big win for her. Increasing her turnover, obviously that's desirable for anyone who doesn't want that. No, most people won't say no to that. But also, most of all, we also looked at her energy. So she had worked really hard until this point, and she was working with a high volume of clients, which seems great on paper. But she was getting to another season of her life. Yeah, her son was going to university. She was getting to another season of her life, energetic wise. But didn't want to keep pushing like that. So we looked at stepping to her value, her self worth, really embodying her values throughout her business, and creating more of that elusive freedom. More of that freedom, more of that joy, reigniting the business and building it exactly how she wants for the next chapter.
Hmm.
Which
Hmm.
which
So
is
that's
just so
really the
powerful.
devotion to self.
The devotion to self and that commitment, and you know what, it doesn't need to be as painful. When you're held in a space, it's not like getting your tooth extracted. It's micro actions, it's little reminders, it's practices, it's rituals, it's taking that time to do the work with somebody else holding you and holding the light, to sharing, keeping that momentum. As I said, we talk on voice notes as well throughout, and keeping that momentum going. She's doing the work, I'm guiding her on it and holding the space for her. So all the accolades are hers, but I'm honoured to be able to walk beside someone and hold them into what's their true potential.
Awesome. I love it. So as you're talking, at this point we were talking, okay, this is the trampled path of comfort and
Mm,
been there, done that. And now
yeah,
we're building a new one and
yeah.
we're going to this oasis. But the oasis isn't the final spot,
No.
right? It's just another milestone towards something else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but I'm thinking like if a client was clearly and devoted to herself on this path, and they come to us and they say, okay, in order to do this, I need time in the morning. I need whatever to save this many hours in a week. I don't want to manage a big team, whatever they're coming with us for us. Um, and we set this up again, it's continuously dynamic, right? Because as we set it up, that might enforce a bigger vision or more space for herself because she's
Mm.
realizing, oh, this isn't just a really good example is what one of the things we do is we take somebody's business and we pull all the information from org charts to income to marketing funnels to products, whatever, and we put it together into a document and until recently put it into a Claude project. Now you can do this through Gemini and Google Docs, but same way, there's a centralized place where your business brain lives. And then not only you, but your entire team can access it. We do
Love it.
this a lot. That creates a lot of spaciousness. And a client thought that would cost, like, would save her like 2 hours a week. And it ended up saving dozens
Yeah, it does.
because the remote team, especially, wasn't constantly knocking on her Slack door and asking, what
Yeah.
was this again? And what's the pricing on this? And da 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 da. They
Mm.
just asked the GPT and it told them and done.
Great.
Right? So now all of a sudden, this person is seeing a bigger vision than they thought was initially possible, or more spaciousness, or more freedom, because you can fill that freedom with whatever you want. You can ride your
Exactly.
horse more often,
Exactly.
or you,
Whatever it looks like to you.
right,
Joy.
or you can build the business bigger, right?
Yeah.
It's up to you. So how do you, so in my experience, I've often seen a rise and a plateau, kind of like climbing a mountain,
Mm.
a rise, a plateau, a rise, a plateau.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see? So this is all dynamic. Your coaching could be going on
Mm-hmm.
and on and on. Us creating more and more systems,
Mm.
freeing this person up is more and more. It's not a one time, okay, you're done, bye, never see
Yeah.
you again. But do you see kind of a plateauing, rising rhythm?
Yeah, I do see that. And sometimes that's the point that clients come to me when
Mm.
they're at the plateau.
Ah, okay.
And
The end of the
yes,
plateau, so to say.
yes, is when they are. The plateau can be painful. So there's two ways. The plateau can be painful. It's the people that are just frazzled, burnt out with the business. They want something more, they want something different, but it's fearful going into that. And then there's people that are just excited. They know, hang on a minute, I've been there, done this for a while. This is a bit boring now. What's next? Next challenge, next challenge. They're very, excited and entrepreneurial. So they're looking at what's next, like next potential. So I do see that a lot, and I
Hmm.
guide them through the different transitions and the different changes, somewhat like your systems do to support them in that expansion. Because creating more space, like you said, there's different reasons for each person, and that depends what their unique vision is. Some of it's a season in life where they want to slow down a bit. They might want to travel more, to have more time to themselves. It might be that they want more time with family, or to just focus on other projects. Some of my clients have multiple businesses as well, so they might want to co-found something. Or some of them that are very established, it might be that they want to give back now,
Mm.
do some charitable
Hmm.
work, some mentoring, and so on. So it's all unique, but creating space through systemizing business is so important as well. They're like the external foundations, and what I'm working with is the inner
Right.
foundations.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because at least for myself and the clients we served over the years, I can see like when you're this busy, like if your Slack messages are just never ending and you don't know where this doc is, and like I have a client, she just held the Zoom camera and like, this is, half my business and it was on the floor,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, and you organize all that in a way that it feels like kind of like a feng shui room, so to say,
Yes.
right? And then your nervous system does settle. I mean, that's the whole idea
Mm.
of feng shui, even though I'm not a feng shui
Mm.
expert. But I certainly know when my office and everything looks organized, feels organized. Even
Yeah,
my desktop, I know it's not cluttered with,
yeah,
screenshots or whatever.
I know.
So when that happens, then something arises from within, like that energy that's been sitting there, but it's been suppressed by all the busyness. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And like you said, that whatever then arises, that's completely individual. It could
Mm.
be, I've been working too much all along and I'm enough,
Self-worth. Yeah.
right? And that's not necessarily a client. It sounds like a lot of your clients when they some new idea arises,
Yeah,
right? A
but
new
some
expansion.
want space to look after themselves more. They've hustled
That's
to this
why I'm at.
stage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, they've worked hard
Mm-hmm.
for decades, and they're like, you know what? Maybe they've got a horse like yourself. Maybe some of them play golf. It all depends what they're into. And they're like, I want to have more joy in my life. They
Mm-hmm.
realise that they're at a different season of life. Maybe they've seen other people pass or whatever, and they want to enjoy life, not just work, 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 work. They want to enjoy. They've made money, and they want to start to actually be able to enjoy it. And maybe on the way up, they didn't get to spend that time that they wanted to with loved ones. So they're
And
making
then
more
who
of
knows what happens while you do that, right? They might, right.
exactly,
This is,
exactly that. So it is. It's all unique. Same as the vision is unique. Same as the version of success is unique. But whatever it is, everybody can benefit from having spaciousness.
Mhm. Oh, it's lovely. I do occasionally quite a bit of deep work with ChatGPT,
I love
and
that. Yeah,
if you guide it right and you know the psychological intervention or intervention methods that you
yeah,
want it to employ, it's quite good. And
yeah.
so at some point it said to me, so what you really want, I can't remember, I botched it, but a spa-like lifestyle,
Oh,
like a
nice.
wellness lifestyle. I'm like,
Yes, please.
I kind of
I'm sure many of your listeners will be listening to that saying,
I
that sounds
did
great.
myself just like looking at going. And the next thing, one of the voices said, that is not possible. Or it was not as clearly defined, but I had a sense like, I don't deserve that. That is
Mm.
frivolous. That is selfish. That is, that's again old
Wasteful.
programming, wasteful, superficial, Kardashian-like.
Who
And
do you think
anybody who
you
knows me,
are?
I'm not Kardashian.
Not at all, no. But isn't that interesting? And that's the old stories that I love working with
Mhm.
clients on. The old stories, reframing it. Because that baggage, we don't want to carry that into the spa life,
No,
do
it's
we?
like, oh, shush.
Yes,
Like it just enticed me to have a spa, like, day
I
flow.
love it.
And I want it. I've been working for over 50
You
years in
deserve
my
it.
dad had stores. I was like barely 10 when I held the register.
Yeah.
And so to finish up, it was really fun. So I'm sure some people will relate, some women will relate to this. So in my attempt to work less and have more spaciousness, and I do have two partners, I have systems, I can, right? I don't need to keep
Yeah.
myself artificially busy. My daughter sends me this 3D puzzle that's like a little Christmas carousel thing and is 1,000 pieces that you stick together, and it has wires and electronic and lights and batteries, and it was
Oh,
unbelievable. And it makes sounds and whatever. And she goes, Mom,
wow.
to do this. I'm like, oh. So I live in Germany. She still lives in Los Angeles, but Amazon had it on both sides. So I ordered it,
Oh.
and I'm sitting there in the kitchen putting this teeny little pieces and everything together. And in the back of my mind, I hear you shouldn't be sitting here doing this.
Mm,
It's not like I'm spending all day, like that makes a misperception.
no.
But if I have like a little period here and
Yeah.
there, it's really soothing to do
Yeah.
that. And then it fits, and I'm so excited that it actually works. And in the back of my mind is, you are not allowed to sit here and do this. And so my
Mm.
husband came into the room and I told him, and he said, well, that is just a reason to sit longer. And he walked away.
Ooh, I like that
So
response.
that's how powerful the messages are. And I
Yeah.
wanted to just have us finish with the idea that to be oneself and to become and to really get in touch with this core and, like you said, get rid of the shoulds and the musts and the I shouldn'ts and, all of that is
Hmm.
not so easy.
No, it's not easy, you know. It's not easy. It's a journey that I've been on myself as well, and it can take time. That's why I'm doing this work, is because I know that I could have really have benefited from somebody holding that space. It's
Mhm.
not easy to try and figure out on your own, and we do need someone objective sometimes to hold that mirror, to shine the light into the shadows like your husband beautifully did, to challenge you. He challenged you positively.
Oh, he
Maybe
just
you
was
should
so
sit longer.
calm. He's like,
Yeah,
that is just the reason to sit longer.
yeah.
Like,
But if you didn't have that support network or
I probably
anyone
would
to
have
share
gone
that,
up and checked emails or,
yeah,
like, was that necessary? No, but it soothed my, the part of me that felt like I had to do something or the business
yeah.
was going to collapse, which
That's
it
it.
doesn't.
Survival energy. That's that survival energy where we feel like, oh, if we take a break, oh, it's all going to crumble.
Hmm. Hmm.
Or no, business will dry up if I go on holiday for 2 weeks.
And I was like so mad because this was so fun to do. Plus,
Yeah.
my daughter, because she lives so far away, it's fun like to send her little
Connection.
updates and look at old mom is still
Yeah.
figuring all this stuff out.
I think it's beautiful.
And it was so peaceful and so fun and so pre-Christmassy. This
Yeah.
is the time when we're recording this.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say, like, especially we women, to
Yeah.
rest and to give ourselves permission to actually not produce, not to be useful, not to be profound, not to be running after
Mm.
our potential, occasionally
Yeah.
is not easy.
It's not easy to just be, and to create that space, especially when a lot of us, especially if we're driven and you're pushing your business forward, there will be that growth, that that drive that needed to serve its purpose and get you here. It's hard to release that because it's that
Mm-hmm,
safety
mm-hmm.
net of what
You're
we've
kind of
always
stuck in
known.
that overdrive, and then
Overdrive.
Mm-hmm.
it's and then touched on the nervous system. It's on high alert.
Right.
If we let go, what's going to happen? Danger, danger, danger. That's what it's thinking. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's being able
Yeah.
to challenge
It
that.
felt absolutely dangerous to
Yeah,
sit there, which is absolutely just my spouse
crazy. It sounds,
walking
yeah,
in as a supporter, nobody else watching me, and yet I felt the danger in the
yeah,
room. And
exactly that.
to finish up, because that's kind of a big thing for me, I have three three immediate family members who I cannot prove got sick because of stress, because we cannot yet relate that, but we know that nervous systems in long-term overdrive are
Agree.
closely related to long-term and serious illnesses. So if we need any justification to sit there and finish the puzzle up,
Do it. And if
we do it
anyone's
for
listening
our
over the
health.
holidays, take a break. You deserve it. It's all about that self worth, and that's something we have to work on. I was saying to some
Hmm.
clients in my group program
Who am
yesterday.
I to have a
Yeah,
spa-like day, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. And who you not to?
Right. And
Yeah,
enters right here, but the process to actually feel and
yeah.
embody it is a long, long process.
It's a process. It's a process, but there are modalities you can use to accelerate that. But I think it's something. It's about valuing ourselves and knowing that we're worth that.
Yeah. So with that, we do encourage anybody and everybody to do this. And this is a great segue, Siobhan, to tell people how they can get hold of you if they want you to accompany on that journey to that oasis of
Yeah.
spaciousness. Where can they find you?
Okay, so they can find me at siobhanmears.com. I'm also by my name, obviously, on LinkedIn as well as on Instagram. So if you have my name, maybe in the show notes, they'll be able
We'll
to.
put it all in
It's an
there.
Irish spelling. So I'm by my name on the website, Instagram, and LinkedIn. You can reach out to me there. I also have some free resources like a quiz. I'm happy to share if people want to explore what their next level could look like.
Oh, perfect. Love this. So I'm going to leave you with one question, and that is, let's pretend we are like an award banquet, like let's say the Oscars and the Emmys, and you're being awarded a lifetime achievement award for everything you've done up to this point,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you already envision your audience leaving the room. What do you want to share with them so that they feel what you want them to feel as they're leaving the room? What's the one message that you want to leave behind?
That you are enough.
Mm,
Yeah, and I think the one message I want to leave behind is that take time to do the work on unbecoming to become who you were always meant to be and who you always are innately. Because there's such beauty in that of being able to sit with ourselves inside instead of always seeking outside, because that's an empty void that you'll never be able to fill. And that's what marketers prey on. So if you can find the courage to do the introspection work, I promise you it will be worthwhile.
mm. Okay, I think the audience is feeling something there. Thank you, Siobhan.
You're very, very welcome.